It's interesting to be back.
Hi Ryan, how's it going?
Signs together the other day, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
these signs are like
Oh really? They are. Yeah. Yeah. Some of mine are like 4 years old. So.
Have everyone, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say no.
Pretty good. How are you?
It'll only be about a week.
Excellent weather we've been having, so we can't really complain.
I know it hasn't
But
been
the
raining
snow is
that
around
much.
the corner, Jen. Congratulations.
Thank
The
you.
snow is only around the corner.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like I give my body a certain amount of time. Give me a 504 for tonight.
Yeah. Calling the meeting to order. The committee will convene into executive session in the main office conference room at 6 p.m. pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-4 and 5, for the purpose of discussing the executive assistant's annual evaluation pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-5A1. And I will read this statement as well. Pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-5A1, any persons being discussed or affected were given advance notice of the executive meeting in writing and advised that they may require such discussion be held at an open meeting. No request has been made. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Calling the meeting to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. There were no votes taken in executive session. I'll entertain a motion from the committee to seal the executive session minutes pursuant to applicable provisions of Rhode Island General Law, Section 42-46, 4 and 5. Are there any motions?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Next item, please.
Next is student liaisons, Ty Messier, East Providence High School.
Good evening, school committee members, Superintendent Ferrand, and Assistant Superintendent Ramsey, and Ms. Corsi. My name is Ty Messier, and I'm excited to be the new student liaison for East Providence High School. I'm looking forward to attending these meetings and sharing what new and exciting events we have going on here at East Providence. Starting off with our past events, over the summer we had our third new student orientation, which was formerly our freshman orientation, and of course it had an amazing turnout. We had over 300 attendees and over 100 student volunteers. This event got our freshmen ready for their first day of school on August 28th, and the very next day, the upperclassmen joined them. Many of our students are excited to be back at school, and we are ready to learn. Our athletes opened up for the first of many High Five Fridays at Hensley Elementary School last Friday. Us Townies love giving back to our community, and we always look forward to supporting our younger generation of Townies. Now with our upcoming events, our Meet the Teachers Night will be on Wednesday, September 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. Our health occupations classes are hosting our first blood drive of the year on Friday, September 20th for our students and staff. And as always, if any of you guys would like to join us, please feel free. Also, our culinary department is collaborating with the district food pantry to make prepared foods for families in need. And we are excited to host the Townie Pride Parade on Friday, September 27th, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. And lastly, with our sports, our football team played the injury fund against Barrington on Friday, September 6th. The Townies won 9-7, scoring a touchdown in the last drive of the game. We kick off our regular season opener on Saturday at West Warwick. Girls volleyball is off to a great start after returning to Division I, winning their first three matches and only losing 2 sets. We wish them luck in their match today at Cranston West. Our boys soccer team won their opener against PCD on September 3rd, 2-0, but later lost to Smithfield, Tolman, and Cumberland. Today they play at Central Falls. The girls soccer team is 2-1 to start off their season, losing 1-0 against North Providence and winning against West Warwick 2-0 and then winning against PCD 12-0. They play today at Middletown. And girls tennis is 3-1 to start off their season, beating North Smithfield, St. Ray's, and North Providence, but losing to Westerly. And our esports team is preparing for their season starting next week. And lastly, the EP Herd took no break and is in high gear for our fall season. They are doing amazing, planning out our themes and keeping the energy high at all our games. And that's all I have for you guys today. Does anyone have any questions? All right, well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to seeing you all next month.
I was informed that we have a good number of public comments for today, so I'd like for the committee to consider potentially moving up the public comments up above the consent agenda. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? I'll second. All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Just for the record, for our Secretary, Ms. Corsi. Jessica is a nay.
How's everyone doing? Congratulations, Jenny, by the way.
Thank you. Just a reminder, because I do see a lot of new faces for tonight. I would just like to remind everyone that the committee will not be engaging in a conversation back and forth. We like to respect, whoever comes before us to give public comment. That is your time. And that's for that reason we won't be engaging in a back and forth. Another reminder as well that there is a 5-minute limit as well per public comment that is in our bylaws that was passed last year. Anything in addition that the committee wants me to just preface before we get started? Alrighty. First person we have up is Chelsea. There is no last name. No email either. Some people did put emails. Oh, sorry, just before you start, I'm so sorry. The reason why we had contact information added here, that is a recent addition to the sign-up list, is because sometimes people do ask questions up here, and that's why we like to be able to have contact information for the administration to get back to you, whether it be questions or any additional information that we could provide on our end. So that's why that was included. I think maybe 2 meetings ago we made that decision. So you may start. Thank you. You want to test, just say test into the mic? No. Can we have some help, please, with the mic? We're having some trouble.
Love your dads. Thank you. All right. Good evening. My name is Chelsea, and I am a proud East Providence High School graduate, and I'm a resident of the town. I am here to speak today as a member of the community, 2 of them actually. a member of the East Providence community and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our students are what make our schools great. All of them, including our gender-expansive students. Our students contribute great things to our school when they feel safe, accepted, and that their existence matters. The hateful and hurtful things that have especially been heard around different news events and different politics and policies are going to be challenging us as adults to protect our students and to advocate for their safety. I just want to share a couple of quick facts presented by the Trevor Project 2024 U.S. National Survey on the mental health of LGBTQIA+ young people. 39% of LGBTQ+ young people seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including 46% of transgender and non-binary people. More than half of transgender and non-binary people found their school to be gender affirming, and those who did reported lower rates of suicide. LGBTQ+ young people who reported living in accepting communities attempted suicide at less than half the rate of those communities who reported living in unaccepting communities. Let's let that sit in. Kids who feel welcome and accepted for who they are feel safer in school and want to come to school and be here every day. Access to safe and affirming, loving spaces help our young gender-expansive children become safe, affirming, and loving gender-expansive adults. These spaces need to include schools. Schools are where students interact with teachers, collaborate with classmates, use the bathroom without fear, and where they are addressed by their correct name and pronouns. Our students are told attendance matters, but if these safe and affirming spaces were to be removed, our students are at a higher risk for suicide and other harmful behaviors. Safety is something that we are working to improve, I know, especially in our community every day. We need to keep our students physically, emotionally, and mentally safe by having trans and non-binary accepting policies and protections at our school as we currently do. For some of our students, we are their safe place, where they can be who they are. Our students form their own ideas, opinions, and identity at school and at home. Having spaces and acceptance in school allows students to become who they are with love and support behind them. The students I know matter, who they are matters, knowing they are safe, welcome, and accepted in my classroom matters. Our district's protective policies of trans and non-binary students matter. My existence as a queer teacher in my classroom and in my community matters to me and to my students. Townie Pride means including everybody. That also means our LGBTQ+ students, faculty, and staff. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Stephanie Muse, and I apologize if I mispronounce, so thank you.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. My name is Stephanie Muse. I'm a teacher. I've served on our district SIT as a parent. I'm a mom of 2 and Ward 2 resident. If I don't come back to say it before he leaves, shout out to Max Brandel and all he's contributed to Epsd over the last 4 years. I really appreciate your service representing our ward. But that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here to speak up in response to recent efforts to undermine school policy, to protect all students who attend public schools, and to divide our community. What it really amounts to is a few loud members from outside of our community postulating that a student's identity, protected under law, somehow poses a threat to the well-being of others. Children who exist outside of society's gender binaries are a gift. We are so lucky to live in a community where families trust us with those children who push the boundaries that so many have suffered inside of, pushing us to think as the adults in charge instead of what is standard, of what is right, instead of what is usual, of what is possible. Children who question their gender assigned at birth exist. They exist whether some of us believe they do, or should, or not. They are our neighbors, our students, an important part of our Townie community, and just like all students, they deserve to learn in a safe and supportive setting, free from discrimination. Our school committees exist to put into place policies that protect our students and guide our teachers. When we provide strong policies and guidance, we make our school community a better, safer place for all. I strongly support policies that ensure transgender students' protection at school and hope we will work as a community to ensure that our district policies are regularly revisited, strengthened, and reflected in all of our school handbooks. I appreciate all of you do to make EP a place that I'm happy to raise my children and call home, and I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Next, we have Kimberly Lee.
My name is Kim Lee, and I'm a resident of Ward 4. I'm a Rhode Island teacher and a parent of 3 children in the East Providence School District. I'm here tonight to show support for the rights of every child. All children deserve to feel safe at school. All children deserve to be seen and nurtured as their authentic selves at school. The transgender and gender nonconforming student policy that East Providence Schools has adopted from RIDE protects some of our most vulnerable population. As many of you probably already know, the data is clear that this population needs our support. Transgender students are 4 to 5 times more likely than cisgender students to seriously consider suicide. They are more than 3 times more likely to get bullied at school. It is not the uncomfortable non-trans kids that need protecting. What we need to do is uphold this policy and make sure it is actually being carried out in all of our East Providence schools. Last week, I reached out to my children's school's deans to try to get more information about the professional development that staff have received in support of transgender and gender nonconforming students. I also asked for more information about the health curriculum. Both of these items are listed in the last section of the policy under education and training. The deans forwarded my questions to the assistant superintendent. This was her response. All administrators and deans have been trained on the basic tenets of the school committee adopted transgender policy. The health curriculum philosophy is online. While I appreciated both the deans and the assistant superintendent's prompt replies, I feel we can do better than this. Just having a policy or a philosophy doesn't do the job. Administrators and deans aren't the ones with my children all day long. The teachers, the recess and lunch aides, the support staff, they are the ones in the trenches with our kids, and they deserve professional training in how to best support all students. I wonder if any of our staff members have received any training in the many years since this policy was adopted. Do they know what to do when another child tells my daughter that she can't be a girl because she was born a boy? Do they know that there are kids in their classes or on the playground that might not fall into the boy or girl categories? Are teachers supported in reading books to their classes with trans and non-binary characters? As a mom of 1 trans child and 2 gender nonconforming children in the East Providence schools, I'm not sure that my children feel seen and understood. Every child deserves at least that. And teachers and staff members deserve more training as well. My children have had some lovely, caring educators here in East Providence. However, when I enrolled my kids and asked for a gender support plan for my daughter, the principal didn't know what it was. She said, "We have a policy." And I'm thankful that we do have a policy in East Providence, but it's not enough to just have a policy. Educators, leaders, all staff members need to be able to navigate situations that will arise with some level of expertise, and they can't do that without professional development. Please, I urge you to follow through with the policy that you have adopted with integrity. Don't just treat it as a box to get checked off and move on to the next thing. North Providence schools, and some Rhode Island charter schools have done a lot of good work in training their staff with the support of groups like Youth Pride in Providence, and through committees like Providence's Equity and Belonging, a committee that we could definitely benefit from here, and I would be more than happy to partner in getting that going if I can. Our children deserve more than the bare minimum. Let's set them up for continued success in a world that they will grow up to lead, with acceptance and inclusion of all people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, I have Libby Merrill.
Members of the school committee. I'm Libby Merrill. I know most of you and I'm a resident of East Providence. I'm a parent of an East Providence elementary school student, and I'm also a career educator. I'm here tonight to share public comment in support of East Providence's continued adherence to RIDE's guidance for transgender and gender nonconforming students, as well as the continued use and continued improvement of East Providence transgender and gender nonconforming policy. These guidelines and policy not only protect transgender students, they actually protect all students. Inclusion benefits all of us, even those of us with privileged identities. As far as I know, my child identifies as the gender most often associated with her sex assigned at birth. She will also benefit from the inclusive policies and the inclusion and celebration of transgender students. The RIDE policy states that students have the right to use the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity, and any student who wants increased privacy may request it. It seeks to eliminate the stigma associated with transgender students choosing a bathroom that doesn't match their appearance. But at the same time, it also protects cisgender students who have other reasons to want to seek privacy. Many students in middle school and high school want and need private accommodations to change or use the bathroom, and this policy allows for it. My kid will not be harmed by playing sports with trans feminine athletes. Her potential athletic achievement will be in no way diminished by playing with a diverse range of athletes. In fact, the opposite is true. She could be harmed if trans athletes are barred from competing in girls' sports. We saw the terrible harassment that happened with the Algerian boxer who went through, the female Algerian boxer went through during the Olympics when she was falsely accused of being transgender. I would not wish my child or any female athlete or trans feminine athlete to have to prove their sex in order to play a sport. By protecting trans athletes, we're actually protecting all female athletes. My child will not be harmed by learning not to assume people's genders based on their appearance. Almost every parent has had the experience of their little child, 2 or 3, misgendering someone in public loudly. It's embarrassing. We may have reacted with embarrassment and not known what to do. How wonderful is it that our schools have guidance to reinforce what I teach at home, that we shouldn't assume someone's gender based on what they look like, and that it's okay to ask someone's gender. The RIDE guidance takes a common sense approach to parental communication, knowing that parental oversight naturally diminishes as children age. It states that elementary level parents should be notified if their students start socially transitioning at school, but at the secondary level, it recommends approaching it on a case-by-case basis, taking into account any risks from parental notification that would pose, any risks that would pose to the youth's safety. This is absolutely a logical and measured approach. The guidance from RIDE is a good starting point for the inclusion of transgender students and all students. It is in line with the recommendation of the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is the largest and most reputable association of professional pediatricians in the United States. Let's build on this strong foundation. Our teachers and school administrators need appropriate support and training to implement the policy. The East Providence policy we have will need regular updating as we learn more and best practice evolves. It can't be static. Thank you to the folks on this current committee for all the support that you've given to all students in East Providence. This is an election year, and I have to confess I have less confidence in some of the people who may be on this committee come January. Please use the rest of your time on this committee to reaffirm the East Providence transgender, transitioning, and gender nonconforming policy, and to provide for better professional development for school staff. I have made the case that inclusion benefits everyone. I will wrap up by saying that those who argue against inclusion do so as a means of creating fear in the majority by scapegoating vulnerable people. They pose a no-but world where problems are caused by historically stigmatized minority groups, and they do it to distract us from uniting for the common good. We will not be susceptible to this fear-mongering and division. We know that we are all stronger together and when everyone is included. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Quentin Foster.
Good afternoon, committee. Everyone hear me? My name is Quentin Foster, and I'm speaking to you today both as a concerned Rhode Islander and as a representative of East Bay Community Action Program. EBCAP is a health and human services agency serving 10 communities in the East Bay area, including East Providence, by providing vital medical and mental health care, as well as a variety of social services such as Head Start, food pantries, before and after school programs, and the East Providence Health Equity Zone, just to name a few. I am the Director of Transgender Whole Healthcare, and as such, I lead the agency's efforts to support the LGBTQIA+ community that we serve. I do a lot of programming. Some of it is engagement with the community, some of it is professional development for public schools, and some of it is just making sure that the folks in our area get the services that they need. As a transgender person and a professional working in healthcare, I want to promptly thank you for your district's strong support of LGBTQIA+ students. East Providence's current policy not only aligns with RIDE's best practice policy and the Rhode Island State Constitution, which prohibit discrimination based on sex and gender identity, but it also aligns with the expectations for fair treatment included in Title IX and the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1969 and federal guidance from the U.S. Departments of Justice and Education. Here in Rhode Island, we are lucky to have robust protections for LGBTQIA+ people, including youth. However, over the last 4 years, we've seen exponential increases in proposed changes to those protections, both in school committees and at the State House. The 2022 Rhode Island Student Survey, which includes a lot but not all of our 6th through 12th graders in Rhode Island public schools, showed that at least 4% of the middle and high school students in our state identify as transgender. That's more than 740 young people, and many Rhode Island youth were not given the opportunity to respond to that survey. We also know that in 2024, 90% of LGBTQIA+ young people report that their well-being has been negatively impacted by the recent political discussions and debates over their basic human rights. Transgender and gender-expansive children are suffering. Nearly half of trans and non-binary people, 46%, considered suicide last year, according to the 2024 Trevor Project LGBTQIA+ Youth Mental Health Survey. Additionally, we know over the last 5 years, the reported number of anti-LGBTQIA+ hate crimes on K-12 campuses has more than doubled. What is often left out of these policy conversations is the fact that gender-expansive children are frequently isolated, mistreated, and targeted, both by youth and adults alike. They need and they deserve our protection, equity, and privacy. I'm sure that we can all agree that we should never again hear another story like that of Brianna Gay, or Nex Benedict, or Jaden Kasich, and certainly not here in EP. We're already ahead of the curve. Let's stay on the right side of history. EBCAP urges you not to make changes to your policies at this time, to continue protecting the rights of LGBTQIA+ youth, and to partner with us for some PD to support the youth of East Providence. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Good night.
Thank you. Next, we have Sandy G.
Well, good evening. My name is Sandra G. She, her, and I'm a lifelong resident of Ward 4, EPHS class of 1995. As a former EP student and parent of a former EP student, my son is an adult now. This evening I want to speak about an issue close to my heart, supporting transgender students in our schools and in our community. As an EP resident and alum, I am so proud of our community. This past June, I participated in the EP Pride Parade, and I met some truly incredible students and parents. There was such joy, kindness, smiles, and rainbows. I'm so proud that we don't cater to bigots in this city, and we stand up and protect the rights of our neighbors to be whomever they choose to be. We celebrate diversity in East Providence. We celebrate it because it makes us stronger, kinder, more compassionate. Because it's important to always do better, to learn, to grow, to evolve, and to respect everyone's right to the pursuit of happiness. Here's a newsflash for those younger than I. Trans folk have been around since the dawn of time. Even back in the 80s and 90s when I was in school in Riverside and East Providence, or in the late 1900s, as they say, it's just safer today for them to be themselves than it used to be. We are so thankful for that. As a librarian, I've seen firsthand the joy that books and stories can bring to young minds, but I've also seen how crucial it is that all children see themselves represented in stories and that they feel accepted. Transgender students, like all students, come to school with a desire to learn, to grow, and to be safe in their authentic selves. It's our responsibility as the grown-ups in the room to create an environment where they feel safe, respected, and valued. This means more than just tolerance. It means active support and inclusivity. We must ensure always that our libraries and classrooms and schools are welcoming spaces for every student. This includes having diverse books that reflect various experiences and identities and making sure that all students see themselves in the stories that we share. Representation matters. It helps children understand and appreciate differences, and it fosters a sense of belonging. Furthermore, let's remember that our actions do speak loudly by using correct names and pronouns, addressing bullying, supporting inclusive policies. We show that every student deserves respect and dignity. This commitment helps build a community where everyone can thrive, and I think we can agree that that's what we all want in East Providence. And to my LGBTQ neighbors and friends, know that you are not only supported here in East Providence, that you are wanted, you are appreciated, and you are valued. In conclusion, supporting transgender students is about more than just providing resources. It's about creating a culture of acceptance and understanding. Together, we can ensure that our schools remain a place where every child feels seen, heard, and valued. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Gregory Greco.
Hello, my name is Gregory Greco, he, him. I am a resident, lifelong resident of Ward 4, a proud parent of a 4th grade student at Myron J. Francis School, and a special education teacher for the last 28 years. And I can tell you, in all my time as a special education teacher, all 28 years, I've not once ever seen a student be hurt by feeling seen, heard, and included. Not once. And I've seen plenty of students who have been hurt, whose education has been destroyed by not being seen, not being heard, and not being included. And that is why, I can also tell you that, and that is why RIDE, teachers across the country and teachers organizations across the country support our gender expansive students. Because we know that supporting and uplifting those students is how they learn best. I'm going to repeat that because I think some people get confused. We support our gender expansive students because supporting them and including them, seeing them and hearing them is how they learn best. And not just them. When we create a supportive environment, it makes all students learn better. So, and that is what we are here to do as teachers. We're here to support our students learn. But you will hear other people tonight who want to insist that educators have a secret agenda other than having our students learn. People who have not spent their careers in the education field. People who haven't spent their lives understanding what it takes to create effective learning environments. They will use fear and discomfort as tools to create distrust and division in our schools and our communities. As a teacher and lifelong resident of this city, I reject that East Providence is a place where we let hate and fear and distrust and division grow. I spent my life teaching the values of kindness and inclusivity to my students and my son, and we are not going to be silent while others try to deprive the students in our community of an affirming community that they feel included, safe, and that every child in this city deserves. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lauren Leslie.
Good evening. My name is Lauren, and I'm a proud resident of East Providence and the mother of 2 children, including a 5-year-old kindergartner. I'm here tonight because I'm a strong advocate for public education and believe that every child has the fundamental right to learn, be supported, and be loved. At its core, love means inclusion, and that's a value even my 5-year-old understands. It's a simple yet profound lesson to be kind to everyone, no matter how they look, speak, where they come from, or how much they have. I'm here because I believe East Providence and the strength of our community. I've stood alongside Mayor Bob DeSilva, members of the East Providence Police Department, and many others during last year's Transgender Day of Visibility, where we honored the lives of trans people lost to violence, especially those who felt isolated and unsupported by their own communities in the face of harmful rhetoric. I want to tell you that East Providence is different. It's a place where no matter where you come from, your background, your appearance, or experience, we come together to live in peace and mutual respect. In East Providence, we trust that our teachers know how to teach, our doctors know how to care, and we, as parents, know how to raise our children to embrace acceptance and compassion for others. If you're looking for the best policies to guide our schools, just look at what we already have in our community. How Weaver Library provides resources for ESL students and those in support and needs. Look at the connections fostered through our senior center and the way we nurture growth in small businesses. Now, think about how we can extend that same support to our students. Supporting our students means caring and respecting them. When outsiders come in and suggest we change our community without understanding its heart, we stand firm. We know our students. We're the ones who help them onto the bus, pack their lunches, wipe their tears when they're hurt, and cheer them on at their T-ball games. Some of these students are LGBT+. And just like every other child in East Providence, they deserve the same kindness, safety, and support that our community offers to all. Shouldn't we ensure that East Providence remains a place where every child feels safe, loved, and embraced? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Brenda Lister.
Hello all. I'm a resident, my name's Brenda. I'm a resident of Ward 4. And I just want to say that I'm a mother of 3, grandmother of 4. And I feel every student deserves the right to express their true identity and be respected for who they are. Supporting the rights of transgender students in schools is fundamental to ensuring an inclusive and equitable education environment. It is essential that schools provide a safe and affirming space where all students, regardless of their gender identity, can thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Recognizing and supporting the rights of trans students not only upholds their dignity, but also fosters a culture of respect and acceptance that benefits the entire school community. Embracing and celebrating diversity helps build a more compassionate and understanding world for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, I have Erica. No last name was provided.
Erica. I am an East Providence resident. I am a student on my way to becoming a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm a member of the queer community. As a graduate student in the mental health field, I am greatly concerned with the mental health of people of all ages, including and especially our youth. And as a queer person, if and when I saw people putting so much of their time and effort into challenging my rights to safety in an educational setting as a young queer person, I needed to know that there are even more adults out here who care about me and who are willing to use their voice to protect me and my personhood, which is why I'm here today. To share some data, According to data shared by the Movement Advancement Project, as it stands, 75% of trans students have felt unsafe at school because of their gender expression. And 70% of trans students actually have avoided bathrooms because they felt unsafe or uncomfortable, which is one of the many reasons why I support these RIDE Title IX guidelines. As adults, it is our job to protect the safety of all students of all genders. Additionally, research done by Christina Olson of University of Washington shows that trans youth experience reduced levels of anxiety and depression when accepted and affirmed at home, in school, and in their communities. To the school committee, thank you so much for your time. It's my first time at a meeting, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I hope that you'll value the voices of the EP residents that you've heard tonight. And to the trans and gender expansive youth who might hear and see this, please know that we are here for you. We know how valuable and how beautiful you are, and you deserve to feel safe in your schools and your community.
Next, I have Tori Jessup Crowley.
Thank you. You're giving me the mic, Jess. I don't know. It's going to be tough to get it back. Okay, so tonight I'm here as Executive Director of Decoding Dyslexia of Rhode Island. I'll wear my other hat for you guys for now. I'm here to let you know that this weekend, Saturday, is our second annual Rhode Island Science of Reading Conference at West Warwick High School with special guest Tim Odegaard. And I'm very happy to see we have some Rhode Island, some East Providence teachers signed up for that. So thank you for your support and sharing that information. As we all know, that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, which is coming up very soon. So we are partnering with RIDE this year, and we're giving away decodable books. I'm very excited that I get to start this here in East Providence at Weaver Library, which is going to be an event in conjunction with them on October 12th. And then also the following week on October 18th will be our annual Light the State House Red event. That is going to be hosted again by our very own Senator Brito here in East Providence and Senator Kano as well. The lighting will be done on the Capitol building between the 18th and 25th. I'm happy to let you know that East Providence City Hall again will be lit up. I am still waiting on the date and time, Jess. I'll let you know. So we can share that out. I am asking the schools to support me again this year with creating an awareness display in your school and possibly doing a school spirit day to wear red. Emails will be sent out soon so they can have ideas and collaboration and all of my contact information. So thank you all for your support, and I'll forward all the rest of the flyers to you. Thanks.
Next, I have Robert Chiardo.
Madam Chair, Madam Superintendent, members of the committee, good evening. My name is Robert Caradillo. I'm from Westerly. And I'm assuming that none of you at the tables there are mandated to share your bathroom or your changing area with someone of the opposite sex while at work, or sleep in the same room with someone of the opposite sex while on a work trip. If that is true, why is it okay to mandate that our children do so? Why am I asking this? Because there are 6 pillars of RIDE's untruthful and unlawful transgender guidance, which is not law, by the way, that you must change within your own policy. Biological boys using the same bathrooms and locker rooms as girls, rooming with girls on overnight field trips, competing with and against girls athletically, compelling of teachers to utilize pronouns, and keeping of secrets, maybe the most egregious of all, from parents regarding the social transitioning of their own kids while at school. Your transgender policy is gaslighting of this district's parents, lying to them to make sure, to make them think that you have the best interest of all kids at heart, when this policy discriminates outrightly against 99% of this district's kids, especially our girls, by placing them in uncomfortable, unsafe, and unfair situations. Your job as a school committee is to protect all kids, not just kids who are confused with their sexual identity, all kids. Angelica Infante Green is lying to you. Don't be afraid of her. Your Title IX policy parrots this current administration's illegal hijacking rewrite and its attempt to erase women, and I will not allow that to happen. It has already been successfully challenged in court on numerous occasions and will continue to be. Title IX was enacted to prevent discrimination against women on the basis of sex, not men who identify as women. That is not why it was written. It is based on a false premise, the rewrite is, that a boy simply saying he is a girl makes it so, and it does not. No matter how much a boy wants to be a girl, think he's a girl, dress like a girl, he will never be a girl. Never. Same as girls who identify as boys. This is truth, which is why opponents of this policy, or proponents of this policy, have nothing fact-based or data-driven on which to base any intelligent argument, and why you see the anger and name-calling toward me. Our opponents are quick to dismiss the American College of Pediatricians, calling them a hate group, citing the Southern Poverty Law Center, a true hate group, as their source. Go to acpeds.org to see the Doctors Protecting Children declaration that they and over a dozen other medical and health professional organizations signed to protect our kids against so-called gender-affirming care. You'll note that the AMA, the AAP, WHO, and the NIH and others are absent from this. This is big business for these people. Big business. This is not anti-LGBTQ. If you heard my friend last night at the Warwick School Committee meeting, a gay man, you'd have heard him say that the vast majority of the gay community does not want to be lumped in with this. It's not denying the existence of kids who are confused with their sexual identity. I don't care what anyone identifies as. What I do care about, however, is when that affirmation and fallout of that identification places our biological girls and women, and boys too, in unfair, uncomfortable, and unsafe positions, be it in a lavatory, a locker room, on the field of play, or in a classroom. Policies such as this push a vulnerable population to organizations such as Planned Parenthood, where over 40,000 girls have begun their transition with an initial dose of testosterone, leading many to a lifetime of harm and pain, where suicide rates among this group actually increase post-treatment. Groups like the ones that follow me around lie about the suicide rate of this group. They lie about the imminent danger of harm in the home. They lie because they don't care about these kids. And they lie because they are agenda-driven ideologues. I support calling anyone whatever name they want to be called. However, I will never affirm a lie, which is just what calling a girl a boy and a boy a girl is.
Your
I'll wrap
time
up,
has
ma'am.
expired. Sorry to interrupt.
Finally,
Wanted to-
God bless the children of East Providence, the families of East Providence, and may He also bless the United States of America. Thank you very much. And thank you for being as courteous to me as I was to you.
Next person is Susan Branch. Okay. Oh. never mind. Oh,
Hi,
Susan,
everyone.
excuse me,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Susan Branch, sure. Floor is yours. Oh, I just had to read it for the minutes, that's why. I just had to repeat your name again for the minutes, because Sharon's our secretary, that's
okay.
why.
Okay.
But the floor is yours.
I don't really hear extremely well, so I apologize.
Okay. Thank you. The
Okay,
floor is
all
yours.
set? Okay, obviously, my name is Susan Branch, we got that straight. I think I want to start with, there's so many things with this whole situation. My biggest complaint about the Title IX thing is parental rights and parents not being involved in the equation of these kids, in particular, that want to transition. First off, a document from Miriam Grossman. She's a world-known psychologist. She states that, and this is just very recently, there's like a 5,000% increase in teenage girls wanting to go into transition. 5,000%, that's a lot. I think a parent has a right to know about what's going on with their kid. And I think that should always be the first and foremost thing that, as faculty and teachers and the school committee, they should constantly encourage that, because I think most parents are going to be supportive of what's going on. Most of these girls, according to her, to Dr. Miriam Grossman, will grow out of this stage. And most of them did not have any signs of any kind of pre-existing, like when they were younger, they showed any indication that there was a problem with their identity. In actuality, gender dysphoria is still very rare. And there's lots of documents that go along with that. So, I think that this process, the whole process, needs to get slowed down. If we have as parents and as teachers and people that are in doctors, we need to slow down this process and make sure that these kids are really in need of some of the puberty blockers and some of this other medication and these surgeries that they're doing on these kids. It's a very big business, a $500 billion business, and growing. And some of these kids some of the people that have transitioned, there's a lot of people detransitioning and wish they never did it. They're not really prepared to make that kind of a decision when and I'm not saying there's not people out there that have actual gender dysphoria, just saying that a lot of these kids, they don't actually have gender dysphoria, and that's the documentation is showing. The American Academy of Pediatrics on June 8th, 2024, recommended to stop all treatment immediately. On April 10th, 2024, the CAS report from England banned all puberty blockers under the age of 18, and the closure of, they wound up closing one of the largest clinics in London that used to do transitions. And now on August 15th, the FDA, that was just recent, they had one puberty blocker, not saying all puberty blockers, but they had one puberty blocker that actually increased depression, suicide, and seizures in use. So going forward, I think we have to be extremely careful when we're guiding these kids. It's everybody's responsibility. It's my responsibility as a parent, as a grandparent, as teachers, as staff members, principals. It's everybody's, neighbors, friends, families, everybody. It's everybody's responsibility to make sure these kids are making the right decision, because it's permanent and they can't go back and change it. So thank you.
Next, we have Amy Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, can you hear me? I'm Amy Rodriguez, chapter chair of the Washington County of Moms for Liberty. I'm also a mother of 3. And I'd like to talk to you about Title IX was written to protect biological women from being discriminated against. The passing of the Title IX led to women being able to have their own sports teams where fair play could be honored and women could excel in their sport. RIDE's policies seek to discriminate against biological women, mandating men to be allowed in spaces that were previously safe from men for women. Men now can simply say they identify as women and can invade girls' spaces where and when they are most vulnerable. Case in point, according to today's dailymail.com article regarding the teenage boy in a recent Loudoun County, Virginia case, a judge found the teenage boy wearing a skirt guilty last week of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old female classmate in the girls' bathroom at their school. Speaking exclusively with dailymail.com, his mother, who asked not to be identified for the sake of her underage son, defended his actions. She actually said that the 15-year-old girl should have been able to fight better in the bathroom against a male. She said his actions were that of a heterosexual, hormonal teen who had consensual sex with a girl twice before. He's a 15-year-old boy that wanted to have sex in the bathroom with somebody that was willing, she said. She said her son is trying to find himself by wearing a skirt one day and pants the next for attention he desperately sought. Confusing children with gender identity politics is dangerous and must be stopped. Many girls no longer feel safe playing in their sport because men have invaded and are making their sport far more dangerous than it was or should be, not to mention the obvious unfairness. Men are stronger than women. This is a biological scientific fact that has been accepted from the beginning of time. Any doctor who says otherwise is a quack. I'll give you the scrimmage match between U.S. women's national team, for example, who played the FC Dallas U15 boys academy team and fell 5-2, according to the FC Dallas official website. I'll also read from a quote from Dr. James Lindsay and Logan Lansing. David Halprin, who defined the word queer for queer theory in his 1995 book, Saint Foucault, writes this: queer identity need not be grounded in any positive truth or in any stable reality, as the very word implies. Queer does not name some natural kind or refer to some determinate object. It acquires its meaning from its oppositional relation to the norm. Queer is by definition whatever is at odds with the normal, the legitimate, the dominant. Halprin also takes pains to point out that queer has virtually nothing to do with what he terms gay identities. Those, he insists, are rooted in homosexual object choice, a stable, if not essential, human reality. With queer identities, by contrast, there is nothing in particular to which it necessarily refers, he continues. It is an identity without essence. Queer identities that are affirmed in our children by gender-affirming care are revolutionary political identities that are, by definition, framed as whatever is at odds with the normal and legitimate. They are not based in any positive truth or stable reality. They are the result of putting children in a destabilizing crisis and then affirming them into a destructive, politicized sense of self. They are made seemingly concrete in our children through a Maoist process of ideological remodeling into an oppositional, defiant new mold. I'll end by saying there are 2 sexes, 0 genders, and infinite personalities. Let children be children and let them keep their innocency.
Next, we have John Mentz.
Hello, my name is John Murtis. I've been a resident of Rumford since 1986, and we've raised 2 children here. And for 37 years, I've worked at Brown University, mostly as a professor of research in the cognitive science, psychology, and linguistics departments, although my expertise is really in mathematics. There's an old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. It is fair to say with the internet and AI, we are experiencing the most rapid and remarkable technological and social changes in history. We are truly living in interesting times. But with these changes, people fear the values they were raised with are disappearing. They become insecure. Some react with anger, but most want to go back to the imaginary past where everything was good. The interesting thing about this is that we do not remember the past correctly. Over time, it becomes rosier and rosier. It has to do with the way that memories and emotions are encoded in our brain and re-encoded in our brain. It also has to do with differences in the way our brain processes gains and losses. But I don't want to go into that here. That's far too technical. What I want to say is that we can't go back. The genie can never be put back in the bottle. We must deal with the future, not the past. And in this, we have to use science and make our decisions according to science. And it tells us a couple things about gender. First, gender is a result of a physical development of the brain. This development is governed mostly by the estrogen testosterone absorption ratio in utero. This has been proven in mice. Gender identification is not a moral failure or a teaching failure. It's a part of the essence of who we are. People are no more responsible for their gender identity than I am for my baldness. Second, as people have talked about, there's hundreds of scientific studies that shows acceptance and support of natural gender identity decreases depression, suicide in children. We've heard it all the time. And remember, this is a major goal and it makes our children into more well-adjusted adults. And this is a major goal of education, preparing our children for the adult world. So, as far as all these statistics go, I'm a mathematician. I can bend statistics any way you want. I can prove anything you want anyway, by just properly choosing the sets that I choose. This is more ad lib. But what I want to say is that when we look at this, when we create policy, we need to go to the people who know about this, the people who have studied it. And we also need discourse about it from people who, do not agree with us, or at least with my position. And so that's my only point, that we need science and look at this through a scientific viewpoint. Thank you.
Next, we have John Clark.
Good evening. My name is John Clark. I go by JoJo. My pronouns are they, them. First off, I wish to thank the board for allowing me to voice my support for RIDE's policy in support of transgender and gender diverse students. At its heart, it simply extends the protections and safety set for all students. It mirrors our society's endeavor to fight discrimination, prejudice, and bigotry. What better place to start but at the school level? Without it, what greater hardship we will have in the fight in our own society. A little bit about me. I'm older, I'm 59. I didn't grow up in the world of today. Options for me of what there is today. At 55 during COVID, I decided to live my life. It's been the best life so far. So many things have passed me by where I had such great depression and anxiety for so long. It limited me, and I know it now, because now I'm living a much better life. So I'm here to voice my support for RIDE and so many other people that came allies of the RIDE policy, so elegantly put, and them. So please keep the policy supportive and for a future that is not of bigotry, but of love and care. Thank you.
That concludes public comment. Tony, if you'd like to. Before we move forward to the next item, I just, not sure if any committee members up here wanted to say a couple of words. If not, we can move on. Next item.
Well, we don't usually say words at public comment, and I'll probably at some point.
I'll just keep track of the time.
Yeah. So I understand this policy was not going to be touched. I don't know why this is here today. This policy was written. I was on the committee when this policy was written. I was on the policy when the other policy was written. This wasn't being touched tonight. It wasn't on the agenda. As far as I'm concerned, it's not going to be touched. So I'm only here right now for a couple more months until the election. Who knows? But as far as I'm concerned, this policy is in stone. A lot of it is state law, so it can't be touched. But I just want to know that my feelings about this. These policies are really complex, and I understand that. And I understand the feelings that everyone here tonight spoke about. I do have a daughter, and she does go to this high school. And the weird part is, she plays a boys' sport. So I understand where all of you are coming from that spoke tonight. But my job up here is to protect students. My job up here, all students, no matter what. I'm obligated to ensure the policies align with federal law. I'm also so I wrote this, so hold on. Because I now knew this was coming because we're all on social media. I understand that transgender policies can be complex. I respect that people may have different views. However, for me, it comes down to basic human rights and dignity. Everyone, including transgender people, deserve the same respect and protections that we all do. That's here in the school as well. Policies like these aren't about giving special treatment, but rather ensuring that no one is discriminated against for being who they are. That's only my view, and I thank you for allowing me to say that today.
I'll just make a small comment because I feel like my colleague up here perfectly summarized everything. I think transgender rights are human rights, and my position has never changed. I'll be supportive of our diverse community and continue to do so in the future as well. So that's all I'll have to add.
I'll just say very well said, and I'm in total agreement.
Awesome. If there are no further comments,
And I just have to comment. There was nothing to disrespect when I said, born and raised in the city, we have almost 5,300 students in his school district, 800 teachers. Our job is not policy, it's normal morality. We have to protect these kids under anything. I don't sit here and follow these laws from RIDE or anybody. It's morals that I was born with and what I was raised with. Every student will be treated the same, educational and safety-wise, as long as I sit up here. Thank you.
if there's nothing else to add, we can move on to the next item.
I guess just one thing, it would be important to just note that a lot of the words from our school committee, fellow committee members were very well spoken. It's hard to follow up. So I agree with the sentiment of the rest of this table, and I do appreciate being a part of the East Providence community.
I will not entertain them. There's no motions. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the items under the consent agenda? Again, it includes communications, homeschool request, approval of the minutes.
I have a question about the personnel report. I just wanted to ask the superintendent if there's any thoughts or outliers in terms of the amount of resignations versus the appointments. According to what I'm looking at, it seems like out of the, there's only a handful of appointments that would directly correlate with the resignations, and I was just wondering if there was, anything you would be able to provide our committee on that report.
So we had multiple paraprofessionals resign right before school started. We feel the reason is because they carried their benefits all summer and then resigned when the school year started for positions elsewhere. So we had 5 on the recall list. So they were recalled, and we have interviews coming up to fill the other vacancies that we have. As far as teaching vacancies, I update you weekly. I believe we have the MLL, which we have a certified MLL teacher, long-term sub, who's willing to stay as long as we need him. And we have a resignation that just happened last week to fill at the high school in the life skills class. And other than that, I believe all of our classrooms, speech pathologist. Otherwise, all of our classrooms are full.
Can I just ask a question about the life skills program? Is someone taking over that website? Because I had people reach out to me today that wanted to buy stuff from the school store, and it goes directly to that teacher's email. So if no one has done that yet, someone needs to do that. If you want to buy from the school store, you can go online, and then it goes to her email. And I don't know if anyone's looking at it.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
I will say thank you for bringing that question up because I had the same one, so I don't have anything else to add. Does anyone else have questions or comments?
I just want to note that, quite a few homeschools, 80, that's quite a lot. And if those 80 were to have, quite a few were from Riverside, so if any of those 80 were to have gone to this red, in any of this red, a little bit of trouble. If anyone wants to look at this enrollment numbers of the red.
I guess, are we just monitoring this in the meantime? Are there any backup plans? Because there was a lot of red this time around. I did notice. I know we just started the school year.
We have seats in other schools.
I wasn't sure. Okay.
And that's what we do. So if where you are assigned to go to school, if you're registering now, then, and the classroom is full, we move you to another school, the next closest school. We are maximizing classroom space. Many of our classrooms are full. Not ideal, but.
No, those surveys said that our population's going down.
And again, I just want to say thank you for including the exit interviews. I thought they were.
And we are taking that information that we get and compiling it and thinking maybe we can do something, right? Because yeah, I mean, they seem to be very similar in style, the reason why they left.
Dr. Friend, I'm curious, is any leadership from our unions privy to exit interview reports?
I don't believe they've requested to see the reports. Not shared them.
More resignations than there are exit interviews typically, and is that because
Correct. We give them to everyone.
Additional questions or comments from the committee?
I have no further questions, and I'd make a motion to approve this consent agenda.
Is there a second? All that say aye. Aye. Just to clarify, who said aye? Just because it was a little harder to hear. Okay, ayes. Approved. Are there any nays? Okay. Next item we have.
PTA EPLAC reports.
Okay. So our EPLAC committee report for tonight, as we were able to attend some back-to-school events. There are a small committee of us, and we're hoping to have more family members participate this school year. So we were able to attend the pre-K, ELC, Waddington, Riverside, and Mayan Francis back-to-school events, and we had a welcoming reception from parents, and so we are having a growing list, which is great. We attended the Meet the Teacher night the other day with Hennessy, and that was great, and we're hearing some great things that are going to be happening there involving Special Olympics, so I'm really excited to hear about more. We plan on attending the remainder of the open houses and Meet the Teachers, barring we have enough volunteers to do so, because I can't split myself in half. But we are, I think, 4 of us, so we should be able to get to the majority of those. If we don't, we will contact that principal and make a way to present at one of their PTA meetings, so that way we have been able to touch every single school in our district, and that was part of our goal for this year. As this upcoming school year, we have booked now 4 workshops that we are excited to start these learning opportunities for our families and staff. These 4 we're going to front load this year, so that way towards the end of the school year, we will be focusing more on some prevalent matters and hoping to obtain and retain the parents that are coming. So that's why we want to attract more parents and getting them involved with our committee. So in October, as I mentioned earlier, it's Dyslexia Awareness Month. We're going to have a presentation from Kendall Martez. She is a speech language pathologist who specializes in working with children with dyslexia at Friends Academy in Dartmouth, Mass. November's workshop will be how to create break spaces in classrooms, homes, and community spaces, presented by our own EPLAC Educator Award recipient, Miss Megan Black, in conjunction with Miss Cheryl Cotter. January's workshop will be all about IEPs and 504s, which will be with RIPEN. February and March, depending on the weather, we will be having here it is. We'll be talking about trauma-informed care and de-escalation, going off of our last workshop that we did this last school year with Cheryl Cotter, with conscious discipline in mind. We decided to carry on that with how to respond and de-escalate crisis situations with our children. Through trauma-informed approaches, we will learn techniques for understanding and responding to underlying causes of challenging behaviors in a compassionate and effective manner. So that's what we have planned for this school year so far. We are looking forward to meeting new and returning families and staff at our September meeting Tuesday, September 24th, 6 p.m., the library of Kent Heights Ken Heights Elementary School, and we'll be giving a brief EPLAC presentation about who we are, what our roles are within the district, and how we can support parents. Any questions? Thank you.
Next item, please.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Ferrand.
Would you like me to call up our Director of Facilities, please?
Hear me? Good evening. The facilities report for September 12th. First, here at the high school, we had wall coverings finished up on the 3rd and 4th floor with the corner protection going up. I've been in contact with Cape and Island Tennis and Track about the repairs to the running track and the tennis court with the cracking issues. They are going to send someone out to do the repairs under warranty. Installation of the big fans for the chorus and music rooms will happen this weekend by O'Neill Electric. At Myron Francis, we have 2 new boilers being installed and to be fully operational for the heating season. The state boiler inspector has completed his review and has given the green light to Next Gen Mechanical for the installation. Pipework has started and the 2 boilers will be ready for install once some items are moved for specific height requirements that the boiler inspector stated. We also are conducting a feasibility study of the routing of the morning drop-off in conjunction with the East Providence Police Department, City Planning, and the School Department Threat Assessment Team to fully ensure the safety of every child during drop-off. Proper signage is being implemented. Multiple police officers are on site, as well as staff directing traffic and drop-off of students daily. We have conducted many studies, including drone pictures and videos, to time and study traffic flow patterns and verify where the proper signage is needed. Parents are starting to get the hang of the cycle, and it's working pretty well. The hours are going to be 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. only, that this is going to be in effect, and we'll have a quick drop-off line and a parking area if you wish to walk with your child. This will not apply to the afternoon pickup. At Riverside Middle School, Lockheed Architectural Solutions have completed the window project ahead of schedule, and punch list items are being finalized for the closure of the project. Collins Construction has completed 6 new state-of-the-art science classrooms with all new lighting, electrical cord reels, heating systems, and cabinetry. The media center is moving well and is projected to be finished by the end of September. At Waddington, Phase 1 of the Waddington construction project has been completed on time and budget by Charlotte Construction. The rear section of the building has now fully enclosed rooms, new heating and cooling systems, also dehumidification. The former upstairs rooms that had a step-down well area have been leveled to be fully ADA compliant. Charlotte is already planning ahead for Phase 2 for next summer and will be conducting minor work throughout the school year to prepare. 2 offices in the library that were constructed by our in-house maintenance team were finished and staff has moved into them. Sorry, just turn page. At Martin Middle School, steel is being raised daily and metal subfloors are being laid into place in preparation for concrete. Prep work for the slab on grade is being done.
No. Down.
Sorry about that. The first phase of the new building is standing with a plan to have it enclosed before winter. Underground work is also happening daily to bring in new water, electricity, gas, and sewer work into the new section of the building. The new chorus room is being constructed at the moment with greater capacity and higher ceilings. And the raising of the beam ceremony is going to be held on the week of the 19th. the administration building, our own in-house maintenance crew has completed 2 new ALP classrooms that are being utilized within the building. Teachers and students are moved in and classes are being held daily. That concludes my report. Let's have a great school year and welcome back, everyone.
I do have a question, actually. I wanted to see if it was possible for the school committee to go on a tour of the current school projects. I know a lot of them are obviously in the beginning process or, first stage or first phase. Is that something that the committee would be willing to we can all, Sharon can help us schedule with our
Yeah, we can set
facilities
that up.
director. Is that something you'd be okay with doing with
Yeah,
us?
that's fine.
Okay.
We can set that up.
The rest of the committee, I know our schedules are crazy, but maybe if we have to, we could split up into 2 groups on different days if necessary. But I wanted to make sure that we all get to do that because that's something that we've always done previous projects as well. So just wanted to.
So I already started to go with.
Well, I know you have.
So he's been taking me around. So yeah, whenever. Yeah.
So
all right, I'm good.
Awesome. So Sharon, if you can help us.
Make sure you bring your hard hats, hard shoes,
Yes.
vests.
And eyeglasses.
All the good stuff. Oh, and close
Safety
steel
glasses,
toe
I should
shoes. In the meantime, just Sharon, if you could send us an email sometime tomorrow, asking for our availabilities for when we can go on that tour, and if you could also let us know what times they're only available, then that way it's limited. During school days? Waddington, Riverside, Martin, yeah. All right.
Oh, I said why not the 19th because we're all going to the signing, but I guess we're all not going to the signing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have a few light questions, and perhaps Dr. Friend can jump in where necessary. Danny, thank you for this report. I know there's a lot going on, and I appreciate what our team is doing. You mentioned starting with East Providence High School, the track. I'm just curious, do you have like a date of when someone is coming out to, look for the repairs or to assess the repairs?
It should be early next week. I actually got off the phone with them this afternoon. I had to send them in some more pictures and things like that. So I am in touch with them, and they should be out here early next week.
And if you could you just kick a note to the committee when we have updates on that item?
Absolutely.
At next week. Additionally, I was just curious. Same kind of question. Do you have any type of exact dates as to when the boiler inspector is coming before we can move forward with next gen at Myron Francis? My thought is that I've seen snow on Halloween, and I was just curious if we have a better timeline, or we just.
He already came. He came about 2.5 weeks ago.
And so we're waiting for next gen to come out for.
Yeah, we were waiting on one of the boilers to come in.
Yeah.
Out of the 2, so that one just arrived, and they started back today.
Oh, awesome. So, do you have an idea of when that might be completed?
It should be early October, very early October.
Early October, and then again, if you could just
The next few
keep,
weeks.
Forward updates as necessary to
Absolutely.
the committee, just so we're in the know. Something at Myron Francis. So, and maybe Dr. Friend, you could jump in here. I was just curious. I've been made aware of community vibes, so to say, in terms of the new drop off happening at MJF. Been made aware that there's drones flying over. Been made aware that this planning is happening. I'm just curious, who is who's going over that data? Is there a team in place, or is that an administrative move? Is that something that our principal is going over with the SIT team there, or PTO, or how extensive is the group actually analyzing the data for the highest quality and safest drop-offs available for happening for our kids?
So we review it with the threat assessment team monthly.
Okay.
We're also in conjunction with the East Providence Police Department. They've been there, 4 to 5 officers daily directing.
Yep.
The city planning, Eric Skadberg has been out there, and we've been going over the proper signage and if we have to close down the road to one way and times, and
And
We've
then-
been getting pictures and videos.
Like to your knowledge, like, has there been any have there been any safety infractions or anything that would be a safety concern with like the new drop off and pickup lines at Myron J. Francis reported?
I was there this morning, and I've been there probably 5 times since we started the new traffic pattern, and I personally feel that it's running very smooth. There was no traffic backup this morning. We've got everybody crossing from the parking lot in the same spot, so we feel like it's safe for students, and traffic is moving. There has not been a backup on the days that I've been there.
It's really just been a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's implementing it. It's kind of weird because it does go backwards now.
Right.
So people aren't used to that.
Yes.
It's just once they started to get the hang of it and they started knowing the pattern, it's flowing spectacular right now.
Okay.
I think we're seeing a lot less parents get out of the car, and now they're just dropping off in the drop-off line.
Okay, great. One kind of my last question for now would be if you could, and I know it's not on your report, but I was just curious if I overlooked or if there was a shared update on the Orlo courtyard. The last time you reported out on August 13th, you made mention that it was moving towards completion. And then in addition at Orlo, again, not sure if it's something I may have overlooked or just missing. Do we have an update on the mechanical, the windows? There was an issue with the mechanical piece and the windows weren't functioning correctly. There was a company that we had.
Yes, so the courtyard project was completed on time. Everything was on a tight deadline, and Central Nurseries completed it on time before the start of school, before the August 30th deadline. So everything there is functioning well. We have irrigation, flowers, the tables are in, furniture, everything is in there and good to go. As for the window project, we have our contractor starting actually next week to start doing repairs at Orlo and Silver Spring.
And then do we have any type of timelines that we should expect completion?
Each school should take 4 to 5 weeks.
Separately or together?
Separately.
They run like 4 weeks for one school, 4 weeks for another school, so we're looking at like completion in like 8 to 10 weeks?
8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Danny, and I also just want to let you know, don't be afraid to share out successes. You know, when projects complete, kick a quick note and just be like, hey, we got this done, that's great. Celebrate, things that we got done. So, and perhaps you did and I just overlooked it. I'm not sure. I don't think so though, but thank you.
The report is pretty good, Danny, but I'm adamant about start and end dates. There's not one start date and not one end date here. That's very important if we're gonna hold contractors liable. Say like the boiler project. In the contract, is there a start date and an end date in that contract?
Yes. Start date was July 1st. The end date is, it was October 30th. If I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was
Double
October
check.
30th.
We'll double check.
You can double
Yep.
check that.
That one there. The next one that I have, Danny, would be at Waddington. Hopefully you can see what you can research this. I was very shocked because it's a very good company, but that beautiful new handicap ramp and that slab that they put at the back door, they did no point into the bricks and all the mortar that's holding that up. Very, very discouraged over that. So if you get a chance, if you look at that, maybe we can funnel that into phase 2.
Yep, I could look at that for the next
There are
phase 2
actually-
scope of work.
There are actually bricks sliding out. I could slide bricks out of there that they went and put thousands of dollars worth of new work on top of.
They're going to be doing a lot of work in that area in phase 2. That whole curtain wall's going to come out and change. So
Yes.
a lot of that might get restructured.
If we get
in the
that
long run.
tightened, that'd be excellent, Danny. Yep. And then just a little follow-up, Danny, with the Orlo Courtyard. They're completely done with that project?
Yes.
And then so we still owe them, I think, $16,000.
The remainder, yes.
All right, so there's no punch list on that project or anything?
No. There was no items. The only item that we had was the irrigation, and it was taken care of.
So the irrigation's all hooked up and stuff?
Yep,
Did
it's
we,
all-
did
it's
our
working
guys
now.
do that, or did the company do that?
Our guys did a little bit of it, so there's just the number of what we spent that they're gonna credit us for,
Okay, yep.
and that was the only thing.
All right, can that number include pots and labor?
Yes, it all,
So
yep.
have our guys keep track of the hourly rate on
Yeah,
that
we
so
were
we
hitting
can
them with
bill
the
for
parts and
both
labor,
that.
yes.
And, all right, so they'll be looking for the balance of that at the next meeting. We're good with that there. Now, the big one that I got a question is, with the window project at Olo and Silver Spring, we got to talk about that for a couple minutes. We're going to start that consecutive. Some guys are going to be at one school, some at the other.
It's gonna start at Silver Spring first, because there's more issues at Silver Spring than Orlo right now. And just having the lift with better weather right now is easier to be up on the second floor, so they could get in on the grass before, the cold sets in and stuff like that. That's the main focus. Plus, there's just more windows in general there. And there's a little more work corrective work, I should say. So they're going to start there first and then move from there to Orlo. They just don't have the manpower right now to do consecutive schools together.
All right, because that was my next question. Now, when we had discussed this, you wasn't involved with that, but I think they were about $90,000 roughly to take care of the situation.
Right.
Is that number in writing? Because my question was, they were supposed to do that during the summer. The summer went by us. So my question is, does that $90,000 still hold as they're doing it second shift on overtime?
Look into it. I don't,
We'll have to look into that,
yeah, I
because
mean, we
it's-
got an estimate, so I'm assuming
we-
they're
we-
gonna would hear by
I
then.
want to say it was about between 90 and 93,000. There wasn't really a set summer date on it. It was more based on
When they
once they finished
finished.
Riverside, they were going to move from Riverside over to that over to Silver Spring and Orlo. They had to wait for the other company to supply them with some materials. They had to order up some materials. They have all that in. They're going to be starting on Monday.
Okay, we just want to, you have to be a little careful what you say, because we were told going back the beginning of this new year, we would know if there was any pots having to be ordered. We were never informed of any pots being ordered.
I think, wasn't it a turnover of
It
pots?
it was a turnover.
And then
of
I don't know if
it was
they
a
had to order
handover from the previous company
That's what I'm
to.
saying, but that conversation goes back into January of this year, almost 9 months later. So that's what I'm hoping. We're not waiting for pots now after 9 months. The deal was,
No, we have everything. They
all right,
have
on that there.
everything
So
in place.
we have to keep track on the dollar amount here. Somebody has to get to Craig. I understand that my term is we gave them an open checkbook. I'll argue with that with anybody. They gave us an estimate. I believe we were told that that job was gonna be done during the summer. We actually signed a document that it was gonna be done under an emergency, so we didn't go out to bid. So we have to tread very lightly on this situation. Very, very lightly, because there was a lot of mislemers and things that shouldn't have been said about this. I just say it the way it is, consequences be it. But I just don't want this company that gave us an estimate at $93,000 or $95,000 going to do it on second shift, and they come back with $15,000 or $20,000 when the project's done. I already have an issue with an estimate of this size, that there's nothing etched in stone, and now we're doing it second shift on overtime pay. So somebody has to look into that, because I want that answer. I'm entitled to that answer. Taxpayers are entitled to that, because we've been waiting almost 8 months for them to get started based on $90,000 or $93,000. So if we can research that, that would be excellent. And if you can just send the committee a copy of the punch list that they're going over at Waddington, if we could have that tomorrow, and any punch list that we get, I would like, I speak for the whole committee, we need that punch list as soon as everybody else gets it, preferably before the building committee and everybody in town gets it before us, so we can get a handle on it. Next situation is, what are we doing with the walk-in cooler at Riverside?
So I was in contact with the previous installer. He's going to come out and remedy it under the building inspector's supervision. So everything that he does the building inspector is going to be there to verify that it was done completely correctly by code and by plan.
So let me cut you off with no decision. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna use the same company that, I'll use a play to try to bamboozle us? Is that what you're saying? I know that's not gonna happen, because I already told the superintendent and you on the phone, I will personally sue this district.
It's still in the works right now. We're trying to figure out what route we're going to take.
What route you go, who's we?
The district.
Just so I can follow, just so I can follow.
Can we get a follow-up email with that
No, I'm
included
gonna
as
follow up
well?
with that right now, because I want the public to know this.
I
We
don't- I
hired
don't
a
know if he
company.
has the
We hired a
information that you're
company
seeking, though.
that was not qualified to put this pad in. They went in there, they put this pad in, and I don't think they followed any of the engineering specs. I can state they didn't follow any engineering specs. We actually had one of our engineers go out there with me, and I got pictures of it. We dug underneath this pad. It was a big bamboozle scam. And now we're being told, after the pad was poured with 2 extensions, because they, can't read a tape measure, we were gonna have to add a 3rd extension to it. There was no building permit pulled to it. When it was removed, there was no rebar on it, there was no haunches put in it. It was a total scam, and now we're even talking to the same company to go out and redo it under the building inspector's watch. If that's what we're gonna do, Sandy, I want it in writing tomorrow morning, and I'll take the actions that I have to take. I'm not gonna let that happen to the taxpayers in the city of East Providence. That company tried to bamboozle us. Plain and simple. And that's what this word on the streets in this state is. You can come to East Providence and you can bamboozle us. What went on when I wasn't here before is not happening. I caught all the defects on that. I showed the pictures to the superintendent. She gave me the okay to go to get the engineer down there. We did. And under his purview, none of that was done to his specs. And he said he would take his name off that pad. And now we're gonna sit down and we're gonna discuss. Are we serious?
We can look elsewhere. It's still, we took a breath on it, basically. We looked at the options, where we could go with it, and we could go that route, or we could go a completely different
with no
route of someone
disrespect,
else.
I talked to you as a gentleman. Did you follow any of my lead on that?
Yes.
And how'd you make out with that?
I talked to him, and we can set something up to have him come out. It's kind of been on the back burner a little bit right now, because we've been kind of holding off on it. What
Okay, we're gonna
direction we
end
were
this.
gonna head in.
I want something in writing. Whoever is negotiating with that company that tried to bamboozle the taxpayers, I want it in writing tomorrow. That's all I want.
Just for clarification, can you just include an update, just the overall summary?
Yep.
If there's any photos, feel free to attach those as well for the committee, because I haven't seen those. Yeah,
And
just
do you want-
just give us a summary, and then we can kind of go from there as well. And if there's any like steps that you guys are following, or any, I don't know, wherever you are in the current process, you just let us know in that summary as well. I'd appreciate that for the committee as well.
We have the building permit.
All right.
Well, this committee does know that that pad was removed, right? Okay, well, don't yes, Tony. And everybody wants to sit here and hire the same company. It's not gonna happen. My name ain't going on it. It was a nightmare.
I'm just gonna wait for the summary. I'm not.
That's where we're headed.
Any additional questions or comments for our facilities director?
Yes, and I have another thought. Danny, do we have pictures? Because I've been waiting almost a month for the pictures that you said you had. At our last school committee meeting, do we or do we not have pictures that you have with rebar and everything in that slab?
I have pictures, yeah.
Okay.
It had fiber mesh. The slab had fiber mesh in it.
That's not 6x6 reinforced steel bars. That's none of that. So if you could give your pictures to the superintendent, Sandy, and you can send them to me, or I'll pick them up tomorrow. I need them. And I'll try to get the pictures that I have, Jen, so I can give them to the superintendent.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I got one more question. Can you give me an answer what happened to the parking space at Hennessy?
I was actually in talks with the city today. They're gonna head over there possibly next week to saw cut that out and patch that, because we have some other projects around here that we're looking to do some tar work with.
Okay, can you keep an email on who you discuss with that? Because
I talked to Dan Borges, the head of the DPW.
all right, ask Dan if he can do that, because what it doesn't make sense to me is when I had talked to you about 3 weeks ago, they had did that big patch inside our playground, that 20 by 20 patch. Say, I thought we discussed that they were going to do it at that point, and then it didn't. And then they actually did all that beautiful sidewalk work and all that asphalt, which is about 8 feet away from, maybe 12 feet away from that parking space. So that was the time to do it. So I just want to make sure if you can send this committee a message, whoever you talk to, if it's Dan Borges, just so we can stay on top of that. I
Yep,
need
no
that
problem.
taken care of. Thank you, Danny.
Next, we have our Director of Finance.
Good evening, everyone. Some updates from the finance office. School lunch applications, we're off to a great start. Folks, it's not too late. www.myschoolapps.com. The state has expanded the eligibility for free meals to include students and families whose income qualifies them for the Medicaid program. So that is helping students. And also the state is covering through their budget for this year any family that qualifies for reduced meals, that is going to cost the families $0. So we're really encouraging families to please make sure you get your school lunch applications in. Thank you for that. So moving on to the finance report. Just to update you quickly on fiscal year 23 that ended. We ended the year approximately $132,000 to the good. So we're very glad for that. And in terms of the current fiscal year 24 that we are in consultation with the superintendent, as we are approaching the end of the fiscal year, and just to sort of continue to hold the line on the expenditures that we have placed a freeze on ordering from the general fund, with the caveat that if there are medical supplies or if there are supplies that the principals absolutely need to run their programs and to run their schools, we will take care of. So we're just going to be watching that closely as time goes on. A question?
I don't like that. Sticker. By this point in the spring, we told all of the principals to order their back to school supplies for the beginning of the year. There were some principals who were brand new, who didn't have that opportunity. We made sure that they had that opportunity to get their copy paper, anything that they needed for their classrooms. If at this point, to get them going for the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks to the end of the fiscal year, everything should be ordered, because we started school 2 weeks ago. Now it's just a matter of, teacher may say, well, I'd really like a new rug, and we've got, can I get that? Well, we can get that, but let's hold off on that until we have the next year starting. But we're getting copy paper.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're not going back to 2014 or 2012 when copy paper was not provided. Okay.
We clarified that for principals, that if you need paper,
WB
you
Mason
can order
is coming.
paper, but
right.
if
you know,
there's something else that you really need to run it by us, what they need.
What they need.
Things were ordered in the spring. Principals put their major order in for September in the spring. So we're right at the end of our budget cycle, so we just need to be conservative at this point. If there's, and again, Craig sent something out, I added to it. If there's something that you truly need, see one of us.
Is there actually like a list to go off of that differentiates between wants and necessities?
No, I think principals know at this point what they need immediately and what they can wait till November 1st. Till 4 at this point.
So, you know, it's something that we've done in the past. Not pleasant, but we always make sure that the students have what they need. And if a teacher absolutely needs something for their classroom that they can't do without, we're going to make sure that they have that. So, but okay. So we are keeping.
Just so I can follow. So, if a teacher needs something, they're going to send the request to you and the superintendent?
No. It goes through the principal.
That's to say, okay, so it goes
Yeah,
to the principal.
it goes to their principal.
And the principal is going to send it to you or send it to the superintendent?
So the principal would enter, so I'm pulling this out of the air. You know, say that, say it's a kindergarten room and the stomach bug happened, and so a rug got ruined, and they absolutely need that rug. That teacher's gonna get a new quote for a new rug. The principal's secretary will enter that requisition into the software. I'll get the email, and then I will take a look at it, and I'll say to Sandy, hey, you know, we have this issue, and this is what we need to do. So.
Can you send them emails to the school committee? Because we're responsible for the budget. So if I have principals out there and teachers that need something, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I believe that's our decision to see if they need it.
Okay, sure.
I'm not criticizing anybody, but I'm just getting a little tired of our power being taken away.
Well,
not accusing anybody of that.
I understand what you're saying, because I also don't like the thought of like someone not getting the necessities that they need. Like, believe me, like I'm in agreement with that respect, but there's a really, unfortunately, there's that line with RIDE now, is that's more in getting into the weeds of managing everyday actions in the schools.
Well, then
you know,
tell RIDE to send me a letter.
You know,
because you
so
wasn't
that's,
sitting here.
so
Jess was sitting here
that's the issue.
when this happened to all our teachers. When Jess just said it, and we knew nothing about it until our phones blew up, and then people were coming to our houses. So see, there's the flip side of it. Tell RIDE to call me, because I'm sure the teachers and principals didn't go to RIDE in 2012 when they had no supplies or anything, and we knew nothing about it as a school committee member.
But they do have supplies because they ordered all their supplies in the spring. So what we're asking them is non-necessities right now that we're going to wait till November 1st to order them.
I have the right to know what my teachers and my principals need to educate the students in East Providence. And if RIDE feels that I don't, then somebody tell me who I deal with at RIDE. The taxpayers are funding the education system in the city of East Providence, and if the teachers and the principals deem they need something, it should come in front of the school committee.
So you're asking for every request that we get comes in front of the school committee all year?
No, how long did you say we were just going to monitor this? For the next couple weeks?
Yeah.
Then that's when we run it for.
And our obligation also is to make sure that we run a balanced budget. That's school committee's obligation, which is our obligation. So we need to make sure that at this point, we do that.
I fully understand that, and I fully respect that. But nobody wants to understand my request that if teachers and principals need something, what is wrong for the next 2 or 3 weeks while this is implemented, that this school committee does not know what they need? Can somebody answer that for me?
Nothing, no problem. So if a request gets to us that...
If it's just information, then that's something that we do have a right to know, though. What I'm saying is that we can't just say, like, then you have to pay for, you know, like, that's,
No,
we can't tell the principal what to do is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying.
But we can ask for the information. That is very much.
Exactly. And I'm not saying for the whole year. I'm saying if this is what we're going to implement just as a little insurance marker for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we get 15 or 30 or 40 requests for things, I think the school committee should see what them requests are. And then after we lift this minor ban, then we say, okay, what can we give back now out of what we received? That's all. This of just not informing the school committee, I have an issue with it. I just found out today from Danny that we're gonna use the same company, or was planning on gonna use the same company that was gonna bamboozle the taxpayers. That's a shame. And if Danny didn't say that, we would have never known nothing about it. It's a shame.
I just took.
Non-essentials we're talking about, right? A non-essential item. So, listening to what I heard from Dr. Fran, Mr. Enos, it's that teachers in classrooms and students are still going to receive any essential materials that they need to ensure that they're receiving a high-quality education experience. So I think what Mr. Ferrer is saying is over the next couple of weeks, during this time that we're trying to be conservative with this spending, those requests get shared to the school committee for informational purposes. And I wouldn't imagine it would be that many requests if all the principals are aware of this conservative climate that we're going to be entering. Is that correct? All right, thank you.
Just as a reminder, the school committee does have the power of inquiry, so that's all I have to add to that. Any additional questions for our Director of Finance?
I don't have a question, but I mean, we're almost at $1 million in substitute pay. $1 million for 2024. We're $300,000 over what we originally budgeted for.
Staff, are entitled to take their sick time as needed.
It's to be honest, I just recently asked the superintendent for our pay because, we're in need of subs. And I thought our pay, it's not the highest, it's not the lowest. It's pretty average. So, I was afraid that maybe we had to up it just to try to get people, but I don't know if we can afford to up it at $1 million a year in substitute pay.
No, and we have increased our sub pool this year. Thanks to our new HR person, Lynn has done a great job of recruiting subs.
I myself would like to see building-based subs back. I think that is very good position, but as before, we pay them at a higher rate. So that number concerns me going forth for next year.
We remain in good stead. We're keeping a close eye on lines. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Policy Committee report.
I will, I'm going to turn this over to our colleague down at the end.
For this first read of a updated and revised health and wellness policy, members of the Health and Wellness Committee, including head nurse Amanda Shattuck, former assistant superintendent Celeste Bowler, Project Aware coordinator Stacy Messier, Hennessy principal Tony Ann Napolitano, phys ed teacher Kristen Kudalakis, representatives from Chartwells, Melissa Reed, Bill Lambert, and others on this committee took some time to really go over what our current existing policy was, which was last revised in 2018. And fortunately, for doing so, we were able to mainly add in a lot of language that is required under Rhode Island general law that you can see in the back under references. Notably, I think it's important to just point out, and on the bottom of the first page, and it goes into the second page, that this model really includes 8 areas of school health: safe environment, physical education, health education, staff wellness, health services, mental and social health, nutrition services, and family involvement. So the policy continues to outline really on those 8 models and themes throughout. And you'll notice that there's a lot of general law put into this, that some was there, some was not. to ensure that, you know, our district is adhering to all laws and policies that we have to in our something that I think it is important to note. It might seem kind of trivial, however, there were a few areas under law. True. There are a few areas under law where, for example, using food as reward, acknowledgement, or incentive in the classroom or in a school environment is highly discouraged. There is a note in here that the superintendent has the authority to override the wellness policy for the purpose of teacher-to-student acknowledgements and incentives at his or her discretion. Additionally, under celebrations and events, the line here, the East Providence School Department recognizes that birthdays and celebrated holidays are special days for our students. Foods such as cookies, cupcakes, and other sweets are not allowed to be brought into school during the school hours by students and families. Additionally, a number of students throughout our district have health concerns related to food, including allergies, diabetes, and other diseases, causing this to become a safety issue as well. We have a food allergy policy regarding students with life-threatening food allergies. However, there is a notation that also says the superintendent has the authority to override this health and wellness policy for the purpose of celebrations and events at their discretion. So I just wanted to note that the folks on the Health and Wellness Committee put into a lot of thought, and one, I want to make sure that I share my appreciation for the folks that I've spent time with on that committee, going over our policies, talking with our administration, expanding the conversations out to our schools. Anyone I didn't say out loud, I apologize, and I am grateful for the work that you put into this as well. Also, additional language that we wanted to tie in here that we thought was important, including you know, family involvement, health education outside of the classroom, student physical activity outside of the classroom as well. That really just kind of coincides with National Association of Sport and Physical Education guidelines. Yeah, so this is just a first read also, and I am asking a question here if the policy committee has had a chance to go through this, and second question is, has our legal team had an opportunity to go through this? That's a question for the committee or Dr. Farand. Has our policy committee gone through this, and have our legal team gone through this? This is the first read, so I think that, you know, it's great to have this in front of us here to kind of digest it, maybe have a conversation now, any follow-up questions, and then ensure it does go through the proper channels before it gets to a second read for approval. To my knowledge, that the policy committee and our legal have not kind of gone through this to ensure that this is all.
Policy committee has it.
They have.
So we haven't talked about it. I have had
Have
it.
to
And
meet.
I actually talked to Ryan about it because I was on the 2018 policy with Cootie and that group and Dr. Bowler. And I'm very happy that he added the part where the superintendent overrides, because I also am a big fan of the events that schools put on, especially the cultural events and stuff where they can bring their food and stuff. So I like the fact that the superintendent can override that. Ryan, the only question I'm gonna ask you right now, I just have a question. When you guys put in the part about sharing of food by students, and I'm sorry, I did not see this before. It says sharing of food by students is prohibited both in the cafeteria and at snack time in elementary schools. So I don't know if schools, I'm on, one.
Subheading?
Subheading, food safety and security.
Thank you.
It says, sharing of food by students is prohibited both in the cafeteria and at snack time in elementary schools. Were you talking about, like, here's my Cheez-It, you can have it? Or because...
Yeah, I think that, and this was really heavily led by a very diverse group of folks in our district. So, you know, I believe that...
The only reason is because you didn't name anybody on the elementary school side, and some elementary schools in that group that you named.
Tony
so-
N?
Oh yeah. So some elementary schools have like a share cart where, so I got a milk at lunch and I'm not gonna drink it, but they made me get it. So I'm gonna put it on the cart and my friend's still hungry, or thirsty, so she goes up and gets the milk. I don't know if many schools still do that. I wish they do. Or I had to get an apple because they made me take the apple, but I'm not gonna eat the apple, so I put it on the cart. And then you see it on the cart and you're still hungry, you go up and get it.
Yeah, I think that's something that we can sharpen up this language if
Okay.
need be. I think that's really more of just like a safety practice in terms of having a couple of 6-year-olds, someone might have an allergy
Yeah.
they're not aware of, and here's my, my chocolate brownie, and they have a chocolate allergy
Correct.
and no one's aware of it, and so that's where that really stands. But
I honestly think it was more about the school lunch that they were sharing. I don't think really they were sharing like anything from home. I think it was only school lunch items. And I think Orlo started it, I believe. So I'm not sure, but yeah, can we just check on that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
perfect.
easy.
Other than that, I think you did a great job. Your whole team did.
Just out of curiosity, the language, it says, it's under subsection, the heading of school food service provider operations. Was there a particular reason why it says, under school meals served through the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program will be appealing and attractive to students? Because, I mean, I agree, like, if food doesn't look appealing, I'm not, maybe out of starvation I'll eat it, but, sometimes kids will just, throw out their food if it really looks questionable. Was that the purpose of it, to make sure that, kids aren't turned off from the meals that are being provided and they don't go on for the rest of the day, starving?
You're looking at school food service provider
Yeah.
operations. Next page, food service provider.
Yes, yeah, the next page. I just thought that was very specific. I was just curious
Yeah, I mean,
to know if
honestly,
there was a reason for that.
I think that, like I said, the diverse group on this, you could probably imagine like who would have had a lot of input and effect on some of this part of this based on like what their profession is. I know that the folks who really heavily invested in a lot of that type of language. That's definitely something that I can also take back to our committee.
No,
But,
I like
mean,
it.
it's
I'm not
just, if it's
knocking
too
on it.
silly and it's not. Like,
No, I like it. I think it's sometimes like even the most, I think, it's like, oh, obviously it has to, has to look appealing, but it's nice to include it because that means like, it's still a standard. I like it.
Oh, sure, yeah,
I like
definitely.
it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's,
Right.
I think people kind of overlook that part, but I do think it's necessary, especially if they're little ones. So.
Yeah, and I think like, essentially it would be like it's not just like
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like
important
yeah.
for kids to be like excited about the meals they're provided with. Some of this too is, right, the same thing, right? Served in a clean and pleasant setting. A lot of it, this language is like accountability language to like our providers, right? So that's for like Chartwells and the folks that are providing meal services. Accountability measure to ensure that
Thanks. I was just clarifying with the superintendent. The only thing I'd like to see added, I guess, is for me and Jessica, I guess discussed, but just for today, if it also stated like the superintendent or designee, I think that would be a lot of like birthday, after lunch, cupcakes, emails for the superintendent to deal with. But that's just my input, though. But I do really like it.
I just had one question out of curiosity under family involvement, where it says that the district would inform parents and community groups of this health and wellness policy. I was just wondering if that's something that your group had already like discussed regarding like how this would be distributed to families throughout the district, because I do think that there is a lot of valuable information in this policy that could be very useful.
Yeah, and I think that's like part of that. That's definitely something that like the district, our administration in the district will have to come to like determination on how they want to distribute this. get it out. However, in the back, I believe the implementation, measurement, and evaluation, we are, this policy and proposed updates will be posted and accessible on our school district website. First and foremost, it should be
Sharon, can you make sure that we have copies for the next school committee meeting?
Any additional comments regarding the policy, questions? Next item, please.
Building committee report.
Oh, Ryan, can you please share the?
creeping up on me.
So we had the building committee meeting on Monday, and the report for Martin Middle School. Some of the project milestones are they started the steel erection, and then we'll be nearing completion for that in October. The underground work in the chorus room has been completed. Steel topping off ceremony is September 19th, as I said before. Drainage, excavation, and trenching, and the backfill is starting in September. And tel data, duct banks, trenching, and install and backfill is going to start in October. Gas service is being excavated, and trenching and install backfill will start. At Waddington, phase 1 turnover prior to the first day of school was done. And in the look ahead, the coordination and preparation for phase 2 is being done. Riverside Middle School, the science labs were turned over on August 23rd, and the media center above ceiling inspections were completed. The look ahead at Riverside Middle School, the media center is having the flooring installed, the test and balancing of the HVAC equipment, and a complete final coat of paint and final clean and punch list to close out turnover anticipated September 20th.
What?
They've actually brought it in a little bit. The steel has gone up faster than what they projected. So on here it says complete in October. When they say complete in October, they're talking about all the floors and ready for concrete. And they're trying to get it closed in before winter sets in. Steel in the phase 1 and part of 2 is set to be complete for the 19th.
Any additional questions or comments for our Director of Facilities? Thank you. Next item, please.
Discussion items.
So I will preface, there was a couple members, including Jessica, that requested an update. I know a handful, I'm losing track, but a handful of us also asked for kind of a general update on the, excuse me, the alternate learning program that just recently started this year. There was also a construction, a minor construction project in the administrative building over the summer. They were able to complete that to, get this school year started with this new program. So I'm looking forward to hearing from our new assistant superintendent.
Good evening. Thank you. I am pleased to report that the ALP program is off to a really good start. The team is meeting regularly, the teachers and the special ed assistant director and director, myself. We've been meeting with the building administration of East Providence High School and constantly reviewing the expectations of the program. We've created and agreed upon a vision and objectives and some common language so we can clearly communicate to all the students, staff, and parents. We're currently serving 18 rostered students in 2 sessions in the day, an AM and a PM session. We're conducting IEP meetings and meetings with parents as applicable and necessary. There's a point system that's being fine-tuned but has been developed with a token economy for students to have rewards and positive behavioral supports and interventions as they go through their program to actively and quickly reward good behavior, good academic performances. All our technology is in place that's been asked for at this point. Students have Chromebooks, there's carts, there's a printer, there's a phone line, there's a doorbell that rings into the classroom, and there's walkie-talkies so they can communicate quickly with the high school if needed for assistance or service. Attendance has been good, and we've been reaching out. The teaching staff and the support staff have been making contact with homes of students who haven't come in, but attendance has not been a concern. Students are adjusting nicely to the program. Busing is set up and working well for our students in both the AM and the PM session. Our students will be working with Project Aware and working in the food pantry so they can give back and do some community service. And the processes are consistently being fine-tuned, and we're reacting and acting in accordance with what the students need, and the students' desires are being heard, so regular and ongoing communication between and among them is happening as well.
I just have a question regarding parent involvement with the different people involved in this program. Has that been entirely successful, including, maybe not including the parents with kids that haven't attended yet, but at least for the kids that are attending regularly, are those parents easily accessible? Have they been really, cooperative with this new program?
It hasn't been reported in any way that we've had difficulties reaching parents. They're using a variety of different approaches in order to reach out to parents, and those that have come in for the in-person meetings or the meetings involving their students have been very pleased with the performance and the program surrounding their child.
Questions, comments?
I just have 2 questions, please. How many students total do we have enrolled there?
18.
How many teachers or staff members do we have educating them 18 students?
2 teachers, 2 TAs.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments from the committee? Next item, we have an update on the school improvement teams. That data was provided to us in our packets. I'll open the floor to the rest of the committee to ask any questions or make any comments at this time regarding that.
We also shared a folder that has all the team members. It has the meeting notes from June and has some of them have the meetings listed for this year.
Can I get the minutes from the first meeting of all the schools so I can see what their priorities are going forth for this year?
Any additional questions or comments regarding this item?
Can we have that be sent to all of us?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Do you want it, so we did share that folder that has everything. Do you want it in the folder, or do you want us to copy notes? And some of them are links, and it's easy to just, but it's however you want it. Copies of
those
it,
links?
or?
Whatever, however.
All right. They're links, it'll be easy to just put them on a document, and we can give you the document and put it in the folder.
I was gonna say, if we can keep it all in one place,
Yes.
that'd be nice. So
Yep.
the folder sounds like a good idea. Next item, we have legal services RFP. As many as you recall, we had a vote to go put out an RFP. We had, if I believe, we had 4 firms respond. So I spoke with our secretary. Sharon told me that previously we had interviews for 45 minutes, so it wasn't brief. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an overview of what was done previously, so we have the opportunity to make sure that we kind of follow that precedent from the last time that we went out. So we previously did an interview 45 minutes each with each firm. We met with each of them separately, and that was all in an open meeting. And then following that, there was a separate meeting. I believe it was just a regular meeting. That's when a vote was entertained to either, terminate the existing contract, and then it was an award the RFP to one of those, firms. And again, that was an open session as well. So just kind of wanted to review what the process was the last time that this was done, and just wanted to. I know some people had mentioned to me that the interviews is something definitely that we want to continue with, to do our due diligence as we have done, or just how the previous school committee had done. So just wanted to give you guys an update that in public session, because this is all transparent. And I just wanted to give you a heads up that Sharon will reach out to all of us over email, kind of see what our availabilities are for this month, if that's okay. I know all of us are very busy, but if we can find a date to kind of sit down in open session and, give the time to these people that prepare those packets for us, and then we can move forward to kind of essentially covering that RFP our following regularly scheduled meeting. But those interviews will be separate and alone, since it's, again, a whole interview process. And again, just so the public knows, the committee received very extensive packets for RFPs, and typically, unless it's like construction projects, that's typically something that is only provided at someone's request on the committee. But because this is a decision that's coming for the school committee, and it will be our decision, that is something that we take the responsibility to make sure to review and make sure that we go into the interview process prepared. So that's just a general comment. So I think that's all that I had to share on my end, but I'm not sure if anyone else had any questions or comments regarding this.
We will have to come up with the questions.
Yes.
Prior to the meeting. So make sure you're aware of that.
Definitely. I mean, do you remember if that was something that we all put together, like on a document together ahead of time, or if that's something just people had questions ahead of time? Jessica, do you remember?
They were prepared. They were prepared questions.
I know they're in the minutes, but I can just, we can grab that as a reference ahead of time, and I'll make sure that that is shared to the committee too. If you guys want to take a look at what that process was, it was, I think, around 2016. I think, Sharon, was it? It was 2016. So I can definitely, we could definitely share those minutes for everyone to kind of look at as a reference if you'd like to do that as well. 'Cause some of us, it is a new process. So, any additional questions or comments? Next item, please.
Next is action items.
Our Director of Finance. So this one was an item we had for our consideration last month, so we moved it until we had further information. I wasn't sure if you kind of wanted to, if you could just give us an overview, a quick overview again, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So at the last meeting, you had asked for a couple things. You wanted to see more specific information related to the rubric and the scores of everyone. So I provided that information to you as well, and you should have had also in your packet a picture from the brochure of what that piece of equipment entailed. We had 5 companies that responded. Out of the 5, there was one company that had provided a quote on a used piece of equipment only, so that was not considered part of the RFP, and so that was not rated. In terms of the rubric, the pieces of information that we looked at for scoring was meets technical requirements, pricing, past project experiences, and the references. No company provided any past project experiences or the references, so they all got a 0 for that. Out of the 4 companies that we scored, they all met the technical requirements. And in terms of the pricing, we took the lowest priced one, and that got the most points at 35. And then, depending upon the price, that was the next price down. That was divided into the next one down. So that's why. So you have RS equipment at 35 points for the pricing, Alta 33, Brody 31, and Octane forklifts at 26. So again, we recommend and ask the committee to make the award to RS equipment.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the committee?
Craig, I have a couple questions for you. Answer these. The question I have, how did this piece of equipment come to light? Who initialed this piece of equipment to come into conversation?
Our old forklift that we had was about 60 years old down at the maintenance garage. Everything was out of date, so we couldn't even use it. That is school funds, so that is going to remain here. It's going to be used.
Can't hear
We're
you.
doing jobs with compressors and things like that we need heavy materials lifted. Right now, we're using
The mic down. I'm sorry, I don't like interrupting people.
Sorry. I can hear myself, but can you hear now? There we go. I'll just repeat that. So, yeah. So our old forklift is non-compliant with any OSHA standard, or we ended up getting rid of it through the surplus. It was about 60 years old, so that came to light. It has many uses. We can use it for snow removal, mainly in the back of the school here, where we can't get the snow out of the parking lot. It can extend and load a truck if we need to, or get it out of the parking lot so we don't have a big pile of snow, so we're not losing any more parking spots during a snowstorm. We can use it to lift heavy materials up to roof edges around the building, change flags, lights. You can use this as a man lift to do things like that. It's just a very versatile machine versus just having a forklift that is proprietary just to pallets.
And the question, for this price, does it come with the snow box on it?
Yes, it comes with the forks, the man basket, and the snow bucket.
Have a rough idea. This piece of equipment, which is a beautiful piece of equipment, because I did call, 2 other companies that I deal with and stuff. The question is, for the sum of money, a piece of equipment like this, anybody that invests in this piece of equipment would utilize it at least 4 days per week, on average, pushing to use it 5 days per week for an $83,000 investment. In other words, 4 days per week, you wouldn't even think about buying this. 5 would be the max. Anybody that would use it, masonry companies, construction companies, we use them all the time with the basket. They are heavily used at least 4 days per week. What do you think the average per week we would use this?
easily 2 to 3 times a week. We're doing a lot of HVAC work where we're trying to get things on roofs and off roofs, flag poles, lights around the district that need repair, just some, you can drive it on the grass versus a regular scissor lift, which just tends to sink in the grass a lot. So we can't get up to like eaves on roofs and be able to clean off some overhang roofs and things like that that tend to get some weeds or something like that on there. We just need the height because even our scissor lifts can't reach the top of a flagpole. Just even change a stuck flag if we have to.
And that has to be transported on a trailer.
Yes, we have the trailer and trucks for that.
There's a lot of manpower and stuff transporting that.
It's the RS-19 in the pamphlet.
Yeah, no, it's like I
the
said,
smaller
it's a
one.
great piece of equipment just for that money. There's no doubt about it. It's well worth the money if it's going to be used 4 days. On average, 5 is a major plus in the construction world. They were very surprised that we were going to purchase this for a school just due to the fact that putting it on a trailer, you would need 2 guys, the manpower and the expense of just moving it to put up a flag. We'd better off hiring an electrician with a bucket truck for $200. That's just me analyzing dollars and cents. The next question is, how many guys do we have that have a lift license for this?
We'd have to send, that's a different license that falls under telehandler licensing.
Have any?
We have one certified forklift operator right now. We have some other guys that are operators with backhoe and skid steers, but we'll have to go to the Department of Labor and Training and get some people certified in that.
All right, so we're going to purchase a piece of equipment that we don't have nobody to operate it.
At the moment.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Thank you. Next item, please.
Consider and vote to award material handling equipment RFP.
Is there a motion to award the RFP to material handling equipment? Is there a motion? Is there a motion to award the material handling to award the material handling equipment RFP? Just gonna repeat that again. Okay. So that item fails. Next item.
Announcements.
Are there any announcements? Next item.
Adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?